Good morning, everyone. Good morning for those who joined us live. By way of introduction, my name is Antons Zagdajs, and I do represent KPMG law firm. And today I will share the practical insights of the foreign talent mobility in Latvia. Why I'm the speaker on this topic? Because in the KPMG, I'm employed in the Immigration and Employment Practice Group. Therefore, for more than 8 years in my career on a daily basis, I'm involved in the relocation process of the foreign talents here in Latvia. So, when we first start speaking about the foreign talents, we have to have an understanding what the foreign talent is. Especially for a fintech company, of course, the definition of the talent is based on the size of the company's involvement into the industry and their business aims. But basically, the talent for a fintech company is an employee who is a valuable asset and who at the same time possess certain set of skills which is necessary for the company to reach estimated goals, health and expertise in finance, technology, data analysis, customer experience, and the regulatory compliance. Of course, this candidate held a certain education in specific field, and at the same time, he has a strong track record of his previous experience and soft skills, as well as strong communication, adaptivity, and ability to jump into new team. The talent mobility in this particular topic, of course, can be divided into two aspects. First, if we are talking about the talents which come from the European Union countries and the talents which come from the abroad, from the third countries. It means that talents coming from the EU, of course, it's easier to onboard them since the European Union citizens already hold the rights of the employment in the European Union. It's quite easy process. But the problem starts when we are trying to onboard the talents which are from the third countries, which are not from the EU or the European Economic Area. Those talents have to acquire the rights of the employment first. And here is the part where I jump in the process. If we smoothly look on the foreign talent onboarding process, we can look at this flow chart, which I have divided into the 5 steps. First of all, company internally understands what is the company needs. Basically, we make a job analysis and understand what the position is required for, what the position is opened, what a particular set of skills or education or a particular amount of the knowledge must held the candidate. Afterwards, we publish the job advertisement and start looking for the candidates. We come to the sourcing stage where we're starting to publish the job advertisement in the various channels, starting from the headhunting through the LinkedIn or referral links, or trying to search for the suitable candidates through the various portals. After the sourcing, we come to the screening stage when we have a list of the potential candidates and starting the selection process. Who is the most suitable talent here, which is suitable for our company, industry, has the particular skills. Afterwards, we jump into the selection stage. Selection stage actually brings to light the selection of the particular candidate which is suitable for the role. It includes in-depth interviews, maybe some psychological analysis of the potential candidate, how he will suit in the role, or how he will be onboarded in the company. And the last stage is the onboarding, where particularly my work starts here, if we are talking about the talents from the third countries. So we're starting the process of inviting the candidate from his foreign country to come to Latvia and to join to work at the company. So basically, the immigration process starts in the onboarding stage. And oftenly, most of the problems with the relocation pop up exactly at this stage. I have highlighted the most common struggles which are faced by the employers while trying onboarding the foreign talent. Most of the employers struggle and highlight that complexity of the immigration process is one of the key features which struggles them the most, because you have to have in-depth understanding of the laws and regulations. You have to always be in touch and follow the particular changes in the immigration law, and you have to understand how you onboard talent from the very beginning till the very end. So basically, the complexity of the process, especially if you're not particularly into the topic, might be quite complicated to understand. Then the frequent changes in the immigration policy is one of the biggest struggles highlighted by the employers. Why? Recently, I have heard quite interesting opinion that immigration law is like an open book, because it's quite reasonably understandable, because immigration as a process itself, thank you, immigration as the process itself touches the employer's involvement into the interior affairs of the country. So it means that government as a country, and the government itself has criteria how to filter foreigners which are coming to Latvia, and how to avoid entering into the country foreigners which can, for example, endanger the country, and how to avoid attraction of the possible negative elements coming into the country. For this sake, always the immigration law is adapted according to the political needs and according to the current safety situation in the world. From the changes in the immigration policy comes the limited availability of the visas, which is, of course, was not quite common for Latvia, but in light of the recent event happening in the Ukraine, the availability of the visas was limited, for example, for Belarusian and Russian citizens, which is also should be taken into the account if the employers are willing to attract the talents coming from these regions. And of course, the last but not the least are the costs for this process. Relocation process from the very start till the very end, of course, require additional costs from the employers to be included into their budget. It of course is concerned with the relocation package offered by the employers, but mostly these are additional expenses which are borne by the employers, having, for example, state duty to be paid or the documents to be translated if these expenses are borne by the employers. So this is the matter of budgeting, which always is highlighted by the employers. I'm sorry, grab water. And after the successful relocation and the onboarding of the talent, of course, there comes the second important topic, how to retain a talent. It is not less important than onboarding of the talent, because in the fintech industry, there is I would rather say it's a headhunting for the minds. We are looking outstanding talents to support our companies, to support the industry, to make an outstanding impact into the development of the company. And I would rather say it's a change of the paradigm or change of the archetype of the employment, because now the employees are ones who are selecting the employer, not the employers who are selecting the employees. It means that employers have to offer a competitive package for the employees and to give them a straight and further going understanding why they should select their company as the employer, and what are their perspectives of growth in this company. So basically, employers have to offer a top talent, a competitive compensation package, strong company culture, opportunities for the career growth, and transparent communication, as well as supportive work environment. This includes, of course, a lot of work requires a lot of work from the people HR department, how to retain a successful and necessary level of the communication between the employer and the employees. But mostly, which topics are highlighted the most coming from the employee side, they should be recognized and receive a sufficient reward for their contribution for the company. I assume it's a topic of the employees' motivation system, but let's not touch this topic at this discussion. I assume it's a matter of the further discussions. It's always important to encourage open communication between the employees and the employers, to employees to understand what are their role and what are the values are driving them to be a part of the company. They should understand the clear and transparent career path to grow and to develop themselves within the company. And last but not the least, of course, the possibility of the flexible work, which came recently during the COVID times and during, I assume, the transformation of the employment relationship, which is quite important nowadays, especially in the fintech industry, the possibility of remote work, this typical office work. I assume it's the era of presence in office, I assume, comes to an end. And of course, the important is how we challenge the obstacles which comes at the relocation process or within onboarding process. During my practice, I have identified, I guess, those pillars and those cornerstones on which this successful talent relocation process is based on. Basically, the first and the most important is a strong planning. You have to understand from the very first to the very last step, indicate a timeline, your actions required from you as employer side, what is expected from the employees, how the process will be carried out. Do you need involvement of the third parties from the legal advisors, for example, or are you able to carry out the process by yourself? The strong planning is a cornerstone of successful immigration process. Of course, it's crucial to make a pre-assessment. It means that either assess both whether your company is able to onboard the talent in matters of the legislative requirements and in the terms whether the employee is sufficient to apply and receive the residence permit or his eligibility to be relocated to the country, especially considering the amendments in the regulatory framework of the immigration law. You have to make regular follow-ups. You have to follow up on the process, on the fulfillment of the steps, and to identify where are the problems or where the problems might pop up. It means that you have to be adaptive to the process. It's, I must say, quite often the process goes not as planned. It depends on the various factors, especially if there is a multi-jurisdiction involvement, especially when something depends on the third country institutions, for example, if they need to send the documents somewhere or if they need to verify the correctness of the documents, and always problematic to schedule the actions of the third person and predict whether it will be estimated in your timeline. So it's crucial to provide a realistic and an optimistic timeline for the relocation process. Do not hesitate to network and connect. The possibilities which are granted by the means of the communication with the internet allows us to expand our network and communicate with other colleagues for the third countries. Excellent if you have cooperation partners abroad. It means that you can, in very short terms, receive a follow-up or advice or even assistance from the particular jurisdictions. And last but not the least, be patient and persistent. The immigration processes oftenly do not go as it planned. You have to adapt and be patient, and your result will come in the expected ways. To sum up my presentation, I would like to highlight that immigration processes can be challenging and complex. And obstacles may be caused by the action of the employers and the employees, of course, but the way how we challenge and encounter obstacles should lead us to the result. We are expecting the candidate to be onboarded. It means that we have to think in the form of the result, not the reasons why the problems occurred. Common obstacles which we faced, of course, are connected with either the limited availability of the visas or the changes in the immigration policies. Sometimes it may be language barriers and costs. To overcome the obstacles, do not hesitate to seek an expert advice, or always keep your hand on pulse. Follow up the amendments in the immigration policies and laws. Build strong cases, connect, be patient and persistent. And the last, take strategic and proactive approach in the immigration processes. Increase strategical, proactive approach and navigate through the process through your scheduled plan. Follow up the plan, follow up the processes, and do not hesitate to address specific institutions sometimes, because nowadays we are facing a quite problematic situation in the immigration area, considering the ongoing processes in the world, and it's important always to keep your hand on pulse, follow up the existing cases, which increases the chances of success and minimize the delays. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time. Thank you.